Tally Tales podcast with Anna from Feeling Arts Collective. I'm Jim Odie, the host. And Anna, what's your last name? I'm sorry.
Edson Mcbride.
McBride. Oh, you're one of the famous McBrides.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
About
All right,
famous,
so
infamous maybe.
Infamous.
Okay, since it's Tally Tales, basically a podcast about Tallahassee and the interesting things, places, and the fact that we live in one of the most unique geospheres in the entire world. But you have been a Tallahassee resident for what, 5 years now?
10.
10 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
an entire decade now.
Wow.
That's crazy.
All right, well, tell us a little bit about your impressions of Tallahassee, where you came from, and then you can tell us what you're doing here in Tallahassee that's so important.
Well, I've never expected to be here. I moved as far west of the Mississippi as I could get a long time ago and planned to die there. But I got separated and I needed my family and they were here. So I came to live with my sister and her partner with my son, who was 15 at the time. And I'd been in New Mexico for 20 years.
Okay.
And the mountains, they held my heart pretty hard.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful
It was
place.
a really hard move, but I've had a gallery now in Railroad Square Art District for 6 years and was not even doing art in New Mexico.
Really?
So I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
What were you doing in New Mexico?
I was a bartender, a farmer, a ski instructor, a firefighter. And when I moved here, there was no I couldn't find a way to make a living here doing any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I applied for a lot of traditional jobs and those didn't pan out. And I was getting some really good therapy when I got here. And she recommended I start working for myself. And so I cleaned houses and house sit and did some gardening for a while before I found the studio, before I found Railroad Square. Yeah.
And art just flowed naturally out of your being, huh?
It was pretty crazy. It started with something that I do now regularly at the shop called Art to Burn. And it was a gift that my therapist, again, Vicky is her name, who's become a friend and a mentor. She encouraged me to create something for the sole purpose to burn. And it was a game changer. I spent weeks building up this vine creature that held these books with these traumatic words and this heart made of glass, broken glass. And then we burned it up and it gave me permission to create for the sole purpose of creating.
Yeah. Interesting.
Till that point, I had just not given myself permission to experience that kind of joy. Like I had to go, tick off all these things off of a list.
Right.
I need to be making this much money, or I need to have this much in savings, or I need to have this kind of job, or what. Yeah.
Well, do you do artwork, I understand, with underprivileged people or people that have disabilities?
I am open. Our doors are open to everybody, and I'm willing to customize any kind of creative endeavor anybody wishes. I'm in the process of trying to become a nonprofit, and I hope to be able to do a whole lot more of what you're talking about.
And what are you looking to do?
To date? Well, I have a couple of groups that I'm really interested in helping first to begin with, and one is veterans, especially homeless vets or transitioning veterans, and then there's an entity called Open Doors, and it's about integrating those that have been in trafficking situations and are now not and need to my words are escaping me, but yes, to help them integrate into society again, and art is definitely a way.
Is Open Doors, is it a government-sponsored program, or is it?
I wish I knew the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Curious.
We've done a few little things with them in the past, and it's a very private situation.
And they're in Tallahassee?
And those are the kind of things that I hope to do. I just finished I was just ordained as a minister.
Oh, cool.
With something called the Alliance of Divine Love.
Yeah.
And I joke about my grandmother's spinning in their graves. The Baptist and the Episcopalian just going, what the?
Oh, yeah. I was raised Episcopalian.
Right? And my family took a little bit of getting used to the idea, but
Well,
it's a great thing. What they are doing is they're turning out counselors and healers who are just trying to get people to live to their greatest degree of love.
There you go. That's it.
And
That's a wonderful
themselves and to
project.
teach other people to do the same.
Yeah.
And it's given me license to start becoming a spiritual guidance counselor, which is what Vicky, who helped me so much,
Right.
is. And so that's the next step, is to use journaling and art to help anybody that's
Well, let me
needing
ask you this, and how could people that want help, that might be here listening to this, they know somebody that could use your services, how do they contact you?
You can call me on my phone, 448-500-9586, and you can reach me by email, feelingartcollective@gmail.com.
And you're still at the Railroad
And I'm in
Square.
Railroad Square at 633-1 Railroad Square.
You got a
the drum
really nice
circle.
gallery.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful place. Beautiful vibe, and the drum circle right next door to her door leads out into the drum circle. It's an awesome spot. I would highly recommend just visiting just to see the wonderful art, because it's not only your art, but you have art.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I sell space to local artists, so we usually have 16 to 17 different artists represented in the gallery, and then we offer anywhere from 4 to 8 classes a month.
Yeah.
It's always fluctuating. Some instructors come and go, and yeah. So we do birthday parties and any kind of group thing you want to do. I'll hook you up. You know, I always kind of say we're kind
Any kind of group.
the
thing.
hippie
And now as a priest, you can do weddings.
art projects. Yes, I should say. Birthday parties, if you just want to get out and do something instead of go to the bar and make something.
Yeah.
I have a lot of skill-free activities, so you don't have to come in and draw and be tedious if that's not what you want to do. If you
Yeah.
just
Well,
wanna...
what's the book for? I see you burning this book.
I did, because journaling is just a really big part of what I try and do and share with people, and I like for them to see that it's not just about getting up in the morning and writing. I like to make my pages really fun, and
Hold it up so the camera can see what we got in here.
I just like to decorate the pages ahead of time with whatever I have on hand. I have a box that sits by my chair where I hang out, and I pretty up the pages and then I write.
Okay.
And it encourages me to create on the regular. It was amazing to me when I first started journaling. How far removed from daily creating I had gotten. I didn't realize that I was going to benefit as much from this as everybody else. But yeah, so then you have these beautiful pages that you can write in and leave your mark or whatever. And sometimes you do something and you're like, oh man, I wish I'd done that on canvas, because there's one in here. I'm not going to be able to find it because I'm looking for it now. But anyway, so it's inspiration for art. When I start a journaling class, we decorate the book front and back. And I encourage people to write love letters to themselves at different times in their lives.
Oh, yeah.
And give up some things that you might be hanging on to and see it from your grown-up view.
A lot of different ways to approach that. I saw an interesting podcast where I think it was Dr. Joe Dispenza was saying, I wake up every morning and remind yourself about, before you even go into your morning meditation, if you have a morning routine where you meditate, remind yourself of the things that you don't want to think about.
That's right.
And the things that you do want to think about.
That's right.
And don't ever dwell on the past that you can't change.
Yeah. You can
Instead,
learn from it.
Move forward.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Flip the script too.
Yeah.
When you look back as an adult, with all the experiences and the new wisdom and courage that you have, you can let things go. That as a 7-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old, you couldn't see. And it's amazing how that step back can flip the script for you.
Well, as a 7-year-old, you're just now coming into your own. They
That's
say there's
right.
about 7 years of subconscious programming that we receive, and
Right?
it's
And we create these stories based on who we are at that time in our lives.
yeah.
And going back to, I call them story busters, because you go back and you're like, oh wow, I've been living with that created thing in my head
Oh yeah.
because I was 7
Yeah.
and I didn't have a clue.
Yeah. Well, storytelling
Yeah.
is almost a lost art now. I believe that it needs to be revived.
True.
You know, in schools, a lot of things that we could change about our public schools. That's you know most
Right.
things
Yes.
we should change.
Yeah.
It's just basically programming you to be a good consumer, and that's about it. Unfortunately,
Well, the teachers
There's
don't
some
have
goodness
any
in it.
time to do anything but prove their teaching, and
Yeah.
and they're actually parenting, so
Right.
they can't prove their teaching because they're.
So this is you never knew Bella because
I did
my
not.
daughter.
But I know your story.
But you know the Bella story, so this is underwritten by that. So we always want to mention that anyone with an opioid addiction that's looking for new avenues that might help them, you know, give up the demon. And I think Anna would be a good person to talk to.
Please.
Over at Feeling of
Don't
Arts.
hesitate to call.
And we have a number of other mentors. You contact bellaforever.org. You and let us know that you're ready to be helped, and we'll help you. You got to change. Everyone needs to change from within, but it helps to have some friends along the way.
That's right. Addiction is almost impossible to deal with on your own.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I
Almost
think
is the key word there.
that
Almost.
there are people that do, but
Yeah.
there's no shame in reaching out ever.
No.
Yeah.
And the number of people that want to help you, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You might not know it, but they're out there.
I always like to ask every guest, what are your favorite natural spots in Tallahassee?
Well,
You know, like parks or
I go to Lichgate all the time.
Lichgate,
That
yeah.
tree, it's where I was ordained.
Yeah.
And it's where I go to walk the labyrinth when I need a minute, and it's close. And it's,
There's a lot of really nice parks. We have Guy McCord right here down the road.
there's so many. Well, you
The
were telling me about
McClay
that.
State Gardens, which is
But my
absolutely
go-to
beautiful.
is Lichgate, and then the
That's
drum
it,
circle.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I roll
yeah,
right out
yeah.
there and see hawks, and there's redbirds and bluebirds, and
Cardinals.
quite
and-
the.
yeah.
I moved here from a pretty majestic place naturally.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me to see any of the real beauty here right away.
Yeah.
It took me a minute.
Well, you
but
know-
I'll tell you what took me: Canopy Roads,
Yeah.
Resurrection Fern.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, those two things I remember, like, and then my first river sink dip.
Oh yeah.
You know, that was magic. I'll never forget how I felt for a week after that. That was the earth blessing me completely from my toes to my being. It was incredible.
Yeah, well, this is one of the most unique geospheres in the entire world. Very unique, and it's 25 miles north and south, 156 miles east and west. When the Appalachians were formed, the explosion was so strong, the upheaval landed here. That's why they call it Tallahassee in Seminole language means 7 hills.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
I do
that's
remember
why
thinking,
we
we're
have
at sea level. Why is
red
it so
clay.
hilly here?
That's red, because we're the toenails of the Appalachians.
Yeah, we're more like-
when the explosion occurred. That's why we have that red soil. That's why Gaston County is the #1 producer of tobacco and soybeans, every crop, because the soil is so rich with nutrients from the center of
I
the
gotta read
earth.
more about
Yeah,
that. I bet
and
my
you go
sister-
right below or right above us. It's flat and sandy. We've got these hills, you know. What other things about Tallahassee do you find intriguing
Well,
and enjoyable?
I love this.
Inspiring.
I'm glad that I'm in Tallahassee, and then I'm glad I found Railroad Square because of the diversity
Right.
that's there. I know that Railroad Square has its own stuff going on, but for me, it meant that I could stay.
Right.
Like I said, I went as far west of the Mississippi as I could go because of the not so diverse nature of the
Yeah.
South.
Right.
And
right.
and so it was just when I came back, I wondered how I was going to deal. And I'll never forget Kelly bringing me, my sister, into Railroad Square, and I was like, oh, this is good. These are my people.
I think this
The
could work.
I could stay.
The weird, the home of the weird and
Right?
strange and interesting. And,
What is it? The odds are good that the goods are odd. I like those kind of places.
Yeah.
They call me. So, yes. So when I found it, because you know, there's the state. You know, everything's pretty. there's a lot of I don't know, a lot of straight lacedness
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a lot of right-handed,
Oh yeah.
right leaning, and I'm very much
Yeah.
not. And I'm an Army brat, and it's kind of that way with the universities. It's kind of like being an Army brat. I mean, you got that. Always on base, there was diversity.
Right,
There's
yeah.
always people who
Unfortunately-
dealt with diversity too.
Yeah, the
knew it.
university unfortunately has been tainted after the Koch brothers. Only one of them left, thank God. Gave billions of dollars to the FSU. They closed down certain departments when professors were getting too much information in the hands of people.
We're gonna have to start fighting really hard for our education. It's starting with what's the school south of us, New College. You know what they
Yeah.
did to New College. I have friends whose kids go there, and what a drag.
But New College is no longer
New College. Well, the governor's gotten all up in it. He's put his people on the board. They've dismantled the program. It's no longer what New College stood for, which
Right.
was, definitely an out of the box educational experience that sent a lot of people to incredible jobs. I mean,
Right,
when you
right,
look at
right.
the numbers and the statistics for the kids afterwards, which nobody is.
Right. You
Nobody
can't.
that-
Yeah.
the governor is.
Nobody is that makes decisions and can create change other than us, and that's why we want to point all these things out on our podcast to let people know what they can do to affect change. Instead of complaining about it, what can we do? But the oppressor is always going to try his hardest to shut down people figuring out that they don't need oppressor. They are living in the matrix, and there is a way out.
I was just listening to I'm gonna have to go back online and listen to NPR on the way over here about how we can flip the script with we're almost a caste system now. I mean, we're getting so
Oh yeah.
this, and this guy was like, I get this tax break on my house, and there are kids in my county that aren't being fed.
Yeah.
And he's like, so I'm refusing that. I'm sending it to, endpoverty.com, and I'm writing my governor and saying, let's not get a break because I could buy a house
Right.
Oh yeah.
and give someone who can't even afford to eat that money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
And it's like, why is that so hard to see?
it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? And I'm listening, and if I said that in a couple of places that I know, I'm a socialist, and I just want everybody to take care of my life for me.
Right.
And that's not what I'm saying.
No.
So
Yeah.
it is difficult to have these conversations, especially when you don't have the ammo, and I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have enough knowledge. It makes me so mad
Yeah.
that I can't back it up sometimes because I'm like, it's in my heart. I know
Well,
it's
it's
true.
intuition.
I know
You
it's
feel.
true.
Yeah.
Can't,
And everybody's, they want them to take care of it. It's just like racism, white people wanting black people to solve
Right.
racism. It's like,
Right.
it's
Right.
not the way it rolls.
we were the
Racist.
racist. We're the ones.
Racist. We need to change.
Irracism.
Right.
Racism is merely ignorance.
And so it's,
But it's not strictly a white problem either.
no.
Yeah.
But we seem to always want the folks who are hurting and have the biggest needs to do the fixing. And I find that extraordinary.
Yeah, that's the normal MO for these people is to try not to see it, the gated community
Yeah.
mentality. They don't want to look at that. And why? Because would it really hurt them to see that people are suffering around them when they're, living a life of luxury? It seems like it should, but
Well, it might count then,
Yeah.
and they'd have to deal. And that's a hard.
yeah, we are very technologically advanced and very socially retarded as a species. Sad but true.
It's hard. Yeah, it is. It's a difficult conversation to have. I have a successful family and friends, and they don't want anyone taking that from them.
No,
or
they earned it. They worked for it.
Why should I
Well,
give it
and
up?
you don't have to take that from them. There's enough resources where everybody's,
Agreed.
it's,
What did he say on the radio? That a certain number. If those that have the money actually paid their taxes,
Right.
it was something like $117 billion.
Oh yeah.
And the amount of money that it would take to feed those that are hungry, it's like $110 billion. So just by paying their taxes,
Right.
we
But
could
yeah, because they
eliminate
make so
poverty
much
if that money
money.
actually went to that.
Not even that money.
The Department of Defense just released their financial statement that they have to. They spent several $billions on software to track their finances, and yet they cannot account for 50% of the trillions of dollars that went through the hands of the Department of Defense. Taxes are nothing compared to the money
Right,
we
I got
waste
you.
on killing people.
I got you.
You know, they're absolutely nothing. But yeah, that would help if the 1%.
But it's just the numbers, you know.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
when you have the numbers, you're like, oh, that would be a fix. To get that money,
Hell,
to
they
actually
make money-
go
they make money
from
anyway.
This place to that place is what
Yeah.
boggles my mind, because they would have to have a survey. They'd
Yeah.
have to do a test and
Hey, I
a
bet-
thing and spend half of it to prove that we could do it this way.
Well, I've
Right.
been to the Mint and seen them make that money. I remember going on a field trip. They were just cranking it out, just
Oh,
keep
yeah.
making it. Fuck it, hand it out to everybody. There's already no gold to back up.
It's crazy.
But yeah, that's the problem we're not going to solve right here on this podcast.
No. But not talking about it doesn't help you.
No,
No.
no.
And I used to not say anything because I am kind of ignorant in the ways of how to fix it, and often how to explain why I feel the way I do, because it really is an intuitive thing. It's not. I can't show you paper.
No.
Well, the
I
closer
know it's there, but I don't have it.
the closer you are to Mother Nature, and you lived in the mountains, you connect
Yeah.
with the earth, and that's one of the problems I think with all our electronics and computers and phones and social websites. People are disconnected from their mothers, and they don't feel the electromagnetic energy of the earth. They
Right.
don't ground themselves. That's just the
It's
frequency.
more of an I
The
mean
further
my.
away you
Yeah.
get away from what actually feeds you, the farther away you are from the truth.
That's it.
It is the truth.
Well, they
It
like
is.
to make a lot of noise. So, Anna, let me ask you this: What you said you're ignorant to a lot of matter. Well,
I admit that I
how
know
do you
this.
think the human species came to be on this blue rock,
And I don't believe that we're the first.
or the last?
Or the
Yeah.
last.
We are stardust. We are golden. We are God and the devil. You know.
I
remember
believe
old
that when you
song,
really think
know?
about it, we're just teeny tiny little parts.
Oh, yeah.
Made up
A
of
little
chemicals and
blip in the
atoms.
cosmic
Yeah.
pond.
Yeah.
But we are a blip in the pond, and we do have recourse, and we do have the power to make change.
What happens
And-
when we die?
Oh, don't.
That's
I
the
wish
other
I knew.
deep. I like to ask everybody those deep, very deep
Right,
questions.
right. No, I wish I knew. I mean, in my
You'll find out what.
right. I believe that our energy though lives
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I just don't have any idea. I think anything that we think of as human construct.
Right.
And
Well,
so
I-
that's
But the person, the spirit that was the human being that you interacted with, somehow I have communicated with Bella on at least 4 occasions where there was maybe 5. Last time was at the Fish concert. We were dancing together. She was there. One time in my ear, I heard her voice. A couple other times through animals. You know, I was zero doubt in my mind that Bella was communicating with
Oh, yeah.
her dad.
Oh, I believe it.
Let me know that it was okay to go on. You know.
Yeah, they do. They.
I
you know,
paint angels. I've painted 490 to date. I don't
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
painting many of them.
Cool.
And very often they're angels that I believe are a representation of people that I've known that have passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've got wings and flying around, you know, but I
What
believe
about
that
fairies?
angels.
What about fairies?
Well, I
in
believe
fairies.
They could be just
that
a little orb of
angels,
light.
That's right. Our vision of angels are again
So-
human constructs.
Yeah.
So I do want to point out that Anna,
Kind of like an icon.
out of the goodness of her heart, made a very wonderful banner, which we will show you, that for the Bella Forever Foundation that we used as a backdrop when we went to the Tallahassee market on the Saturday markets in the park. Really wonderful spot where you can find a lot of interesting vendors and independents that sell, their farm products or stuff they make or they cook or they design or they put together. It's really a wonderful community event. And so Anna is a very talented artist, just to let
Sweet to
you
say.
know.
I did have
I
a
was
really
shocked
cool.
to learn you weren't an artist until you came to Tallahassee.
I've always been a creative, but I didn't
Right.
didn't give it any importance. My therapist again, Vicky, she encouraged me to. She had a dance and cell at the VF on Lake Ella. What is that?
The VFW?
The VFW, and I had 3 paintings. That's all, and I made jewelry just to fill in, just because I've always made my own jewelry, just beads, whatever I want to wear that day and stuff like that. So I made a bunch, and my family helped me tag them and make them, look good. That was my very first art show. That's not true. I had one years and years ago, but I don't talk about that. It was like walking around naked. For 2 weeks. It was one of the most horrible experiences. Oh.
Well, let's not talk about that.
No. But, so I did give it a try years and years ago.
Right.
And, but yeah, I wasn't ready. And I've gone from painting in a corner in my studio and not letting anybody see it till it's done to, come on in and see it while it's going and what.
You done any paintings with other people, like collaborative?
A couple. Not many. It's a difficult thing to do. I've tried to do it twice with my mom, and it sucked. We're just so different in our approach, and I think we were both afraid to get into each other's.
Yeah.
Sometimes those differences in like the tension in a band, there's these guys that are in musical
Right,
bands.
right.
Sometimes the tension that is present in the lives of the musicians,
Well, to be able to
when
jam.
they get on stage, it turns into some incredible energy.
I bartended for years and years, longer than I should have, just to hear live music because of that jam. We had a really good house band that would play with everybody that was coming into town. It was amazing that they could just step in and play with people.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that cross pollination is my favorite thing with musicians. If you're a good listener, you can sit in with anyone and make it happen.
Well, collaboration, demands it ends in something completely original, right? It can't ever be a repeat,
Right.
which is beautiful.
Good old Billy Strings, sitting in with everyone from heavy metal, his bluegrass roots. I saw him play with Carlos Santana in Hawaii with Bill Kreutzmann, and just some of the best jams I've ever heard. And a real good musician can change flavors pretty quickly.
I got to go hear the Revivalists Friday night. That was really nice.
Yeah.
I really like them. It's good at Cascades.
Well, good. Cascade, or as our good friend Neil Anderson, who's helping us out with the video production work, over there, it pointed out to me that I didn't realize that Cascade Park is called Adderley after Cannonball Adderley, who's a great musician, which if nobody's heard Cannonball Adderley and they hear this, they should look up his music and listen to it.
I will. I didn't know it was a musician. I wondered where the name Adderley came from.
Cannonball.
It's a great park.
His
I've seen
first
a
name
lot
is
of
more
great
interesting
music
than his
there.
last name, isn't it?
Yeah. I saw Tedeschi Trucks, maybe.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Government Mule,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Alabama Shakes,
Yeah.
Willie Nelson.
Yep.
So, I mean, at
Willie's
Cascade
still
Park,
around.
you can throw a rock at the stage.
Well,
that's
and
The city's done a good job with the
opening nights.
opening
And
nights, and brought some
and
really
then,
talented musicians in Oppenheim. They spent all that money
Southern?
revising that one music hall that's sounds
Oglesby.
phenomenal. What's it called? Ruby Diamond Auditorium. Ruby Diamond is one of the best sounding halls in the country.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money renovating it. Remember when Pat Metheny played there? He stopped and listened to the sound. Thought, holy crap! But our good buddy Mike Shapiro worked
Pat
there
passed
with the
away.
sound.
Pat Bethany. He's
Pat-
not with us.
No, Pat Metheny's still here.
Is he?
Yeah.
Somebody's named it another musician. I thought that's who you were talking
A
about.
lot of musicians have died, but Pat Metheny is still with us. Ornette Coleman is gone.
I don't know a lot of the local musicians here. I just don't.
Well, Pat Metheny is not local.
No?
No, he's won like 19 Grammys. He travels the world. He travels more than any other.
Well, there's just
More
so
than
much
even
good
the
music
Grateful
now.
Dead.
You can't even.
Yeah,
keep
he's
up,
jazz. He's a jazz guy. Yeah, he's played with a lot of the jazz greats. Look at the Sky Dog over there. She Wish we could get a shot.
Too
of
much
the
stress.
cock
Too
over
much
there.
stress.
in the bliss state.
Right?
She went from traumatized 3 years to living in the bliss state now. So, is there anything else you wanted to add about Tallahassee that you could, some other cool things about Tallahassee that you like?
Well, I've just been met with nothing but kindness since I got here. I've got my family here. My mom and dad now live here, so it's definitely home for a while. And Railroad Square, I'm hoping to hang out there and continue doing my counseling there inside the gallery. And
when did your family move to Tallahassee?
so my sister and her wife moved here. God, they've been here a little over 20 years, and then my mom and dad have been here a little over 2.
Oh, okay.
They moved from Franklin, North Carolina, which we miss.
I've been to Franklin, North Carolina.
They had a house with a creek.
Oh,
It was
no.
really nice.
We used to go. I went to school in Athens, and we would drive through Franklin all the way to the mountains. And Franklin was notorious for pulling people over.
Well, now it happens in Georgia before you get to Franklin.
Yeah, they would do it in Franklin, and they would steal your marijuana if you were a camper going up there. No, they would. And then they would take whatever money you had and let you go. There's no paperwork involved in the process.
That was
And
New
I've-
Mexico. They
Three different people that I know had that happen to them in Franklin, North Carolina.
That's fun.
Now that you mentioned that.
I was just there with I just took my mom up to see her
Buster
sister.
Butt Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the way back, we saw the Georgia cops had nothing but trucks pulled over 5 times.
Really?
Big trucks, semis, dump trucks,
Right.
but trucks every time they were pulled up. No cars. Isn't that weird? That's Georgia, though. I mean, I watch.
Oh, yeah.
Speed limit.
Yeah.
No problems. No
Well, I mean,
jail.
Georgia's now one of the capitals of the movie industry, man. Made in Georgia.
Atlanta, yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on, Atlanta's a great town. Athens, Georgia, where I went to school, is one of the finest towns I've ever. It's
I
like
love
the
Athens.
Berkeley of the East Coast.
And I like Macon.
Yeah.
They're both
Oh, yeah,
really
Macon.
beautiful
Yeah.
towns. I like to drive through and
Yeah.
get
Rose Hill
piss my
Cemetery.
mom off because I drove through the middle of that.
Right.
Have you been to Rose Hill Cemetery in Macon?
No.
That's where Dwayne Allman and
Yes.
Mary Oakley were buried.
Oh.
Beautiful, sad, Elizabeth, in memory of Elizabeth Reed. It's a wonderful spot.
Well, I took my son all over Athens for REM. We did all the REM stuff.
But when I went through there years and years and years ago, we'd always stop on the way up to Athens, pull up and go over there, and there'd be people put, joints and beer cans,
yeah.
things like that around. And there was a minimal amount of disrespect. Found Elizabeth Reed's grave in memory of Elizabeth Reed. Went looking for a shady spot in the summer. Found the shady spot in there, fired up and looked. And there it was, in
Elizabeth
memory
Reed.
of Elizabeth Reed, right there. And the story was told about how Dickie Betts wrote the song. At the moment of climax, he looked up and he saw that.
Right.
That was his inspiration for. They might have been doing some of those cow field mushrooms. Who knows? They were the Allman Brothers. No longer. Greg died. None of them left. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add?
Can't think of anything.
And what about you,
Right
T-Bird?
now.
Anything
I can't
else?
think of
Casa,
anything
you
right
have
now.
anything you want to say? Oh, sweetheart. Give you some food? Okay, we'll get to that.
We can do a shout out to Artopia. Do y'all know what that is?
Artopian now.
It's a fundraiser that's a benefit that's put on by Big Ben Cares.
Okay.
And they collect artwork up until June 12th, I think. You can donate up to 3 pieces. You can get that many tickets if you donate. They're $25 tickets otherwise. But they raise a lot of money for AIDS awareness and healing and that kind of thing within our community. And I have a piece that they took on as their advertising piece.
Oh
for
yeah, I
the-
remember you showing me that.
Until
Fantastic.
July, they'll use
And
that for.
how
that was
do
pretty
you
cool.
get in touch with Artopia?
You can online, Artopia Tallahassee 2024.
Okay.
And it'll pop up, and like I said, you can donate, or you can buy tickets, or you can just go and it's a silent auction with a live auction at the end. And yeah, so
All right, guys, we appreciate everyone out there that's supporting the podcast, that's listening, and we're wrapping it up. Thanks to Anna McBride, the
Thank you.
fabulous Feeling Art Collective. TallyTales.net. We love everybody that's listening to this as Bella did. So we'll tell a lot of Bella stories in the future. All right, stay tuned. Love y'all. Peace.